what is right and pure. Their ideas on magical potions and their taxes on the cure. Truth bleeds out and lightning flies, lost in between the deception and lies. Burn their soul, rip off their eyes, there's nothing left to hide. Truth bleeds out and lightning flies, lost in between the deception and lies. Burn their soul, rip off their eyes, there's nothing left to hide. Talking to proud birds, leading lives of rats, preying off the weak of the herd. It's nothing new, it's always been like that. No end to the torment, the screams of children they can't hear. But when it comes down, they go down, they go down, these evil men.
It depends upon what the meaning of the word is. Yes.
Got the pizza we ordered?
Yeah, 45 minutes or less.
But I usually ought to give these kids stickers of one kind or another so that they know it's cause we love them. And then, you know, regardless of where you teach, remember in high school, those kids are not that big. They still have the same basic needs that the little kids have. And what you think is still important. I remember for the 4 years that old Mark was in high school, he came by my office every morning to hug my neck. And he always said, Miss Bird, I just come in and hug you because you smell so good. Well, you don't know what that does for an old girl from Cross Plains who smells just like Vicks Vapor or But what Mark knew and what he knew I knew was that his folks were never home. And they had a housekeeper who went to bed early and got up late and didn't speak English. And Mark wanted somebody to know he was at school and somebody to care about him. Do not kid yourself that they're all that big. And then I remember this kid coming in and telling me that he said, I'm very intrigued, and why doesn't she like me? That was the teacher, and I said, well, let me tell you why you're probably very intrigued. You're probably not doing your homework. I said, you need to go back home after school and get to this same place every day and get in a quiet place with a good light and do your homework. Then you'll probably be able to pass the test and pass through. And he said, why doesn't she like me? I went through all this stuff again, you did you not remember, and finally he said, why doesn't she like me? And I said, kid, what is it for? Whether you pass trig or whether you find out why she doesn't like you. And he said that I find out why she doesn't like me. He said, I think I can pass trig if I can just figure out why she doesn't like me. Don't kid yourself that you're not important. And here are just some things that I think maybe you ought to try to do, is try to reach each kid each day. I don't mean you need to thurp them out, but I do mean that you need to maybe pat them, or it doesn't take much time to smile at them to come in so that they think they're special. And then don't sweat the little things. When everything in your room is a no-no, nothing is. Kids don't learn to distinguish between something being, honey, I bet you wouldn't do that again, and it being, kid, I'm going to kill you if that happens one more time. Save your big guns for your big wars. I remember I had old Charles in my World G class, and we were taking this test, and everybody was just working as fast as they could, and he was working as hard as he could, and in a minute, just out of clear blue sky, he sit back to back, and he started going, bum, biddy, dum, bum, bum. And I thought, now look around, everybody was still working this way. And I thought, he can't do it. Here it went again, bum, biddy, dum, bum. And I started again, and I thought, he can't do that in my class. And then I thought, well, who's he bothering? He's not bothering anybody. And I thought, is he bothering you? And I thought, no, not really bothering me. And then immediately I thought, if you were a good teacher, it'd be bothering you. And so he did it again, bum, biddy, dum, bum. And I started to get up, and I thought, he's not bothering anybody. And if I get up and go back there and make a big deal, he'll bother everybody in the class. So I just sat back down and I said, God, just let him run down. And he just did it a couple more times, and that was it. But I thought I'd do a little experiment. When the kids went out that day and the bell rang, I stood at the door and I said to the first two kids, what do you all think about old Charles going bum, biddy, dum, bum? And they looked at me like I had lost my mind. And one of them said, what's with you? And the next morning at the crack of dawn, Charles back in my office, and he said, Miss, what are you telling lies on me for? I said, what do you mean? He said, you told Charles that I was going bum, biddy, dum, bum. And he said, you know I wouldn't do anything like that. Why are you telling lies on me for? And I said, I don't know, Charles, I just lie on. I thought, well, he was trying to convince this kid about something that he or anybody else in the room except me knew about. Just save your big guns for your big wars. And then don't always have to be right. It's okay for teachers not to be perfect. And try to remove the word bored from the vocabulary of kids. I think I just hate that word worse than anything. Bored does to me what nervous used to do to my mother. We lived out on this old ranch, we didn't have much company. The preacher came every once in a while, we felt obligated to. And I remember when I was 10, he came in and Mom said, when he left, you got things safe yourself, so we get with him, Ben's ugly when Brother Collins was here. I always knew where he stood with my mother. And I don't know till this day why I said this. It seemed like a good line at the time. And I said, well, I was nervous. And she said, no. 10 years old and nervous? She said, I'm going to tell you, Jim, when you can be nervous, when you're 50 years old and going through the change of life, you can be nervous. Not before. And she's going, I tell you, that had child abuse laws, they'd gone. For a while, when she'd stop and she'd say, nervous. 10 years old and nervous. When you can be bored. When you're 98 years old and senile in a nursing home, you can be bored. And not before. You need to take responsibility for your boredom. And then if you don't teach them anything else, teach them to be kind. Because if we educate their heads and not their hearts, we're going to turn out a bunch of intellectual barbarians. And that's real frightening. And contrary to popular belief again, I do not think the challenge of the 90s or even of the 21st century is going to be who's going to win the economic race, or who's going to win the technology race, or who's going to win the math science race. I think it's going to be who's going to win the human race. And we need to remember that we're human beings before we're human doings. And that feelings don't have any race, or any color, or any money, or any tosh scores. and still they're the most important things about us, and the things on which 90% of our decisions are made. And then, as teachers, you need to remember that teachers are the romantics of the world. We're the dreamers. We need to give these kids a vision of greatness. Tell them, don't believe everything you see on TV about how bad everything is. Give them this vision that this is a great, big, wonderful place, and that they got a great, big, wonderful part to play in it. Give them a dream. You know, I think we're so in need of dreams now. Nothing brought that closer home than the tragedy of the Challenger. You know, that happened 6 or 7 years ago, and still nothing ever goes up in space that they don't talk about the Challenger. I think that was because of Krista. You know, she really wasn't the first civilian in space. She was just the first civilian that all of us could identify with. First, because she was a teacher. But more than that, because she had a dream. And she talked about it all the time. She called it reaching for the stars. And we got caught up in it. And kids got caught up in it. High school kids wanted TVs in their classrooms so that they could watch the blast off. And so her dream became our dream. And her tragedy became our tragedy. But her hope is our hope. And I don't care if you reach for the stars with Krista, or if you say with King Arthur, don't let it be forgot that once there was a spot that for one brief shining moment was known as Camelot. There's stars to be reached for and Camelots to be found. And you'll find them, and you'll give them to these kids, because after all, you are a teacher, and kids are the essential element. Thank you.